Good afternoon. I hope everyone's having a great day. I'm going to talk about a couple things today. The first thing I'm going to talk about is microgreens for your homestead. This doesn't just apply to homesteading, but just about anybody can do this. We're sometimes asked, why do we go to all the trouble and all the work to live a homesteading lifestyle? And one of the reasons that we do that, one of many, is we get some insulation from events of the world, things that are going on, things that are way out of our control. So we get insulation from the, if there's a food crisis or food scares, and we get insulated a lot from all the chemicals and the synthetic things that are put in today's food. So growing microgreens for anybody is really a great way to avoid that. So I'm going to start by talking about some of the containers that we grow microgreens in. You can actually grow these in anything, but because we've had a market garden, our past homestead, we grew a market garden for the community. Now we just do it for ourselves. And so some of the tools I have here for doing that are rather commercial, but again, you could grow these in any kind of a container that you want. So there's different sizes. You can see this one. This is a 10 by 10. So I have 10 by 10 trays, and these have holes in the bottom. These 10 by 10s do. And I have a flat 10-20 tray that does not have holes. So I can put the various different kinds on there. So for example, I can put 2 of these trays on here. Just depends on how much of what microgreen you want to grow. I also have these large trays for growing microgreens, and this one, again, this one has holes, and then I have a tray that does not, and these fit together so that you can put your media on top, your seeds, and water it, and the water gets soaked up from underneath. Then we also have some small containers like these. These have small holes in the bottom, little slits, so that they can soak up water, or the water can drain from them. And you could put multiple of these on these trays, just stack them on here, so that you end up with 8, and you could do 8 different microgreens. So I think for today, that's probably what I'm going to do, is set those up. They also, some of these do not have holes, and some of these do. So this will actually fit inside of each other. So you can pull off your microgreen tray, put a little bit of water in there, and soak that water up to nourish your microgreens from underneath. So all kinds of configurations. True Leaf Market is one of the sources I get a lot of my seeds and products from. Johnny Seed is another one. I get a lot of these kind of things. They're well made, they're nice and sturdy, and will last me for years. So it is the heat of summer right now, and we really distrust a lot of the systems of the world, if you will. The food system, Western medicine, there's a lot of things about those that we just aren't interested in. So we try to grow as much of our own food as possible. Well, in the summertime and the heat outside, it's very difficult to grow your greens, your lettuces and things when it's 90 plus degrees outside. You know, your soil temperature gets much above 75. Most of your lettuce greens and things are really just not going to grow and produce. So we choose to do it inside. Our microgreens, for example, we're talking about right now, we're going to grow some of these on these indoor trays. So I'm going to show you how to put this together in one of the formats. But first, I want to show you the soil that we're going to be using, the soil medium that we're going to put in these to grow our microgreens. So for growing microgreens, my preferred brand, if you will, is called ProMix. And I like the ProMix because of couple of reasons. Number one, the high porosity growing medium, the mycorrhizal fungi type inoculants that are already in this, and it is full of good stuff here. The thing is, our microgreens will sit on the seeds will sit on the surface, and we want a really soft medium for those roots to penetrate, and so ProMix is really ideal for that. Some people may be tempted to use a general potting soil or something like that to grow their microgreens and other vegetables, and I really recommend against that. part of the reason is I've got an example here. Some standard potting mixes like this one have so much wood in them. Man, it looks good. You think that's great, but there's actually very little soil in here. A lot of the potting mixes are ground up wood, and while the wood is a good amendment in some circumstances, for indoor gardening and microgreens, this wood material really locks up nutrients that the plants aren't going to get. So you've got so much wood debris in that, I would not use it for microgreens or indoor gardening. That might be better used as a mulch or a top dressing to hold in moisture. But you really want to stay with something like this, the Pro Mix. Especially when you're growing microgreens, you don't want a lot of woody, heavy content in there because you really want those roots to take and to do well. So for the microgreens I want to grow today, what I'm going to do next is I've just decided on which containers I'm going to use, and I've decided on these 8 just to demonstrate the differences in those. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my pots close so I don't make too much of a mess on my bench, and I'm going to put a little bit of the Pro Mix in each one of these trays. Alright, so I have my trays here. I have the Pro Mix seed starting mix. You can use whatever seed starting mix that you like. I really do like the Pro Mix. So I've got 8 trays, or 8 different things I'm going to grow here. I actually have 2 different types of cabbage seed. These are from True Leaf Market. So I have cabbage, I'm going to do an arugula, a basic salad mix, which is really, really good, kale, and from True Leaf Market again, I have sprouting peas, and daikon radish, broccoli, and my other kale. So Mountain Valley, this is another one that I like to get microgreen seeds from and have great germination success with those. Some from Johnny's and some from True Leaf Market. So the way I store these, just to make sure I keep them fresh, is I have an old foul box. And in this old foul box, I keep all the microgreen seeds in here, and then I keep this box in a refrigerator in our shop. Refrigerated, these seeds last much longer. So if you buy them in large groups like I do, keeping them seeds fresh is really ideal. So when I decide on the microgreens that I want to grow, so this one is my green cabbage. So I just do this by sight. What I really want is by hand, I'm going to take seed and I'm going to generously put it over the top of that Pro Mix. And I really want a good layer of those seeds, because when you're growing microgreens, it's going to be, you want a good density. So it shouldn't be really any bare spots, and I don't really want to tamp this down or mash it. I want the seeds to sit right on the top. And again, I just want to avoid some bare spots in this. The microgreens are an excellent source of nutrition. I'm not going to go into all of the nutritional things for each one of these different microgreens in this video, but what I will do is I'll put some of those in the show notes below, so you'll have that information as well. One of my favorites, I love arugula, and so this is a brand new one I haven't opened yet. I'm going to do the same thing with it. I'm going to add arugula seed to my next one. Just a nice coating of the seeds here on the top of this Pro Mix soil. So there's a lot of people that teach how to grow microgreens, and they get it way into the science of, how many ounces you put for whatever, size container you have and those kind of things. Truth is, doing it for myself, I don't pay attention to it. I don't want to overcomplicate it by telling people how much to put in. But what I find as a general rule, I just want a nice, dense topping on my soil. My next one I'm putting in is the basic salad mix. So basic salad mix, this is a great one. It has a mix of a lot of different greens in it. So really an enjoyable one for like baby salad kind of stuff. But of course, being microgreens, they are much smaller. So I'm going to coat these guys, get enough of those in here. Don't want to leave anything. I happen to spill one in another tray. Really doesn't hurt anything. A lot of these are going to germinate and grow at a very similar pace. This one is kale. And so just a good mix so that you can pick and choose on any given salad or any given dish or whatever you're cooking. So microgreens, we certainly enjoy them fresh. We enjoy the nutritional value from the microgreens. But there's so many ways to cook with them. You put them in soups, stews, toppings on just about anything. So don't think of them as just something for salad. But the nutritional benefits, again, I'll leave that in the show notes below, but they are absolutely tremendous compared to, and different enzymes compared to what you get from its full-grown equivalents. So like a broccoli, full-grown head of broccoli is going to have a different nutritional profile than the broccoli that sprouts, the broccoli microgreens. So a lot of people will ask, well, what's the difference between microgreens and sprouts? Well, sprouts are just that. The sprouts don't have the first true leaves. Microgreens are typically harvested when they do have their first true leaves. So these are peas, by the way. So I'm just going to sprinkle these guys on the top. Now, I don't mind. I'm not champing the soil. I just want good soil contact with all of those seeds. So as I do each one of these, I've forgotten to do these, I'll just lightly touch the top of them just to make sure I have good soil to seed contact with each one of these trays. You can do these in any size batch you want. If you love broccoli and broccoli becomes your favorite, or there's something nutritional in eating one of these, grow a whole tray of just that one. If you're under certain diets or restrictions or anything, where you need certain minerals or vitamins, you can check with your healthcare provider for that. We choose holistic medicine rather than Western medicine unless we need emergency help or some kind of a surgery or something. These are the daikon sprouting radish. So the daikon radishes have a very mild, peppery flavor. I really do enjoy these. And just like the other ones, I'm just going to get a nice coating of these seeds on top of the Pro Mixer. Make sure again that I just have a good soil contact with my seeds. Let's see, I've got a couple more here. The broccoli I haven't done yet, so I'm going to do one that is the broccoli. So there are constantly, seems like every week, there are scares of all kinds, everything from listeria to E. coli to different things that end up in the food supply, especially greens. And I think one of the reasons that happens so often is how they're fertilized in commercial environments, often sprayed with the animal waste from feedlots, sometimes right next door. So these containers are all clean each time we do this, each time we use them. These don't need fertilizer. So everything the seed needs to produce the microgreens that we want, the energy and the nutrients are contained in the seed. So they're not really going to get a lot of value out of the soil. It's simply a medium for them to do what the seed does, and that is germinate and begin their growth. So these are basically the same seeds that you could use for planting in your garden, planting outside. The difference is with microgreen seeds, they have been specially cleaned. They are weed-free. They don't have anything in them that they shouldn't have. So this last one I'm doing here is the cabbage. All right. So I have all of my seeds there and all of my trays. And give me just a minute. I'm going to put these away and move this out of the way. I'll be right back. All right. I think also I forgot to mention that when I put soil in my trays or whatever I'm using, I fill that pretty much to the top. That makes it easier when I get ready to harvest the microgreens, because really the microgreens are going to get up just a few inches tall, and we're going to cut those off right above that soil level, and then we'll of course wash them, but we don't want any of that soil in the microgreens. So filling your little trays up pretty close to the top allows you to snip them off or cut off the microgreens when they're ready, right at that line. So that's an important thing. The next thing I do is I have some nice clean fresh water, no chlorinated water, no fluoride or any other stuff in the water that we don't want to drink. We certainly don't want it in our food. The chlorine and those kind of things are made as antiseptics and to kill off diseases and kill off things that actually end up affecting our gut microbiome, and I don't want those in my microgreens. So I start, after I got all my seeds in place, I put the other seeds in my seed packs away because I don't want to risk getting my packages wet, so they're already back in the cooler. So I'm going to give each of these just a nice douse of this mist from the spray bottle on the top. Takes just a minute to do each one. This Pro Mix and most seed starting mixes are hydrophobic. It takes a little while for them for this mix or seed starting mix to actually hydrate and soak up water. So as far as watering, you just kind of have to keep an eye on them each day. Here in our shop, it's usually going to be a once a day watering. But you want to make sure all the seeds are damp, the soil is damp on top, and then we will, at the end here, we'll end up adding a little bit of water to this tray to suck up from the bottom. So I'll show you how that works when we get this on our growing shelf. But right now, I just want to get it started by getting a nice moist start here on the top. You just don't want the microgreens and the seeds to dry out. It's interesting, we just put these seeds right on the top of the soil. They're not getting buried. We're not putting anything else soil-wise over them. When we get them on the growing shelf, I'll show you what we do cover them with. You can use plant markers or plant labels if you can't remember what these are. With a little bit of practice, once they sprout and start growing, you'll know what they are. You can always just taste them and see what they are, but I don't use plant markers to label them. I've got some here on the workbench, so I like these little ones. You can reuse them, put a mark, just mark on them with a marker what they are and stick them in each one of those if you want to keep up with what they are. So I've got these ready to go on the grow shelf. One thing I am going to do right here on this table is I'm going to take these two out and slide these two over so that I have this ready for what I'm actually going to use on my grow shelf. So I'll get set up for that and be back in just a second. So it doesn't take a lot of special equipment. You can do this in front of a window. We've got a little bit of both here. We have windows here in the shop, and we have some lights. Now my lights up here are just shop lights. These are just LED shop lights. They are on a timer, so I prefer that my timers be set when I'm growing greens like this, somewhere between 12 and 14 hours. The other thing I like is once they sprout, I like them to be a little bit closer to the light. So without having to readjust my lights, I simply stack up a bunch of empty trays. You could use pots, you could use anything to get them up close to the light. So for right now, all I'm waiting for is the germination. So before I cover these, let me grab something here. I have, again, just a little bit of clean water in this little watering can. And I'm going to add water to this tray pretty full so that the seed starting mix or Pro Mix will begin to soak that up. I don't want them to be overly wet, but I don't want them to be dry. And that tray holds just about, I think this is a 2-quart water. So that tray holds just about 2 quarts. So I'll keep an eye on that just to make sure that my seeds aren't drying out. The hydrophobic soil mix is soaking that up from the bottom. I've misted them from the top, so everything should be nice and damp. So most microgreens, or most seeds in general, there's a few that germinate in light, but all of these prefer to be covered. So since I didn't cover them with soil, I take a clean, empty tray and I put it over the top of them. So just like that. So my microgreens are covered and covered from the light. So I really don't even have to have these on right now. But I go ahead and I'm turning them on right now so that I remember, I won't forget. So when I uncover these, plus it helps me see, I can actually come up here, pull this up and see what's germinating and take a look at what's sprouted and what hasn't. So earlier I mentioned growing things in that more woody potting mix, that potting material. So I'm going to show you something, an experiment that we've been working on, and really explains the reason why it matters what you start your seeds in. So this tray right here, this tray is individual plants of red and green Salanova lettuce mix. So this was grown in that potting soil that I talked about earlier, and they're plenty damp. We've had plenty of moisture, but these have taken a super long time to germinate and a super long time to grow. Most lettuces and things, they're going to pop up and grow very quickly. Your microgreens are the same way. They're going to pop up, they're going to germinate and grow quickly. These are a little over 2 months old, and I'm almost certain that it's because of the medium that they're planted in. This has so much wood material in here that it's locking up the nutrients that they would otherwise be able to get out of my other Pro Mix. I'll cover in another video. But they're locking up nutrients. It's locking up the nitrogen primarily. It gets locked up along with other nutrients inside of all this woody material that's in that mix. So it really does matter. Use a good quality seed starting mix. If you try to use a typical potting soil for things like this, you're not going to get a good growth rate. So I hope you found this information helpful. I hope you will give microgreens a try. They're simple to grow. They're not hard. Any container you want. Be sure to use something like a seed starting mix. Keep them watered. Grow them in a windowsill. Grow them on some grow shelves like this. Whatever space you have available. But seek that good nutrition. Seek ways to be a good homesteader and move away from those systems of the world that pollute our minds, bodies, and spirits. So yeah, just take care, grow your own food as much as possible. Even greens can be grown in the heat of the summer if you plan smart and do it ahead of time. So I hope you like this video. If you'll hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell for notifications so you know when we put out new content. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.